Hello, folks. Welcome to Kudlow. I'm Larry Kudlow. So, President Trump looked like a real winner at the Al Smith dinner last night. He was positive, calm, and right on message. We've got Sandra Smith, Steve Forbes, and Charlie Hurt joining us right here on set in just a moment. It's a huge crowd. Plus, former Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross going to come on and talk trade with me. And then some heavy-duty politics with Kellyanne Conway and Newt Gingrich. But first, Donald Trump looked like a winner at the Al Smith dinner last night, and that's the subject of the riff. So the Al Smith dinner was in New York City, but it was televised everywhere, and is probably going to be the last truly national event in the presidential campaign. Kamala Harris didn't show up, and so she lost. Donald Trump showed up, and so he won. Some things are just that simple. Now, you'd think it would just cost her among Catholic voters, where she's already lost enormous ground, but frankly, her cringeworthy, bizarre, weird video, which so many people in the audience took as an insult and put down to Catholics, probably cost her Catholic and non-Catholic votes as well. It was an incredibly bad taste. And you know what? Following the Bret Baier interview, along with last night's weird video, the Kamala Harris strategy pretty clearly is to avoid any serious issues and instead just try to attack Donald Trump. And that's in bad taste. Not to suggest that every joke Donald Trump made last night was worth repeating. but a rowdy crowd. But he did have a couple that were genuinely funny singers, including one of my favorites, that Tim Walz wasn't there. But he's going to tell people he was. Trump also got a big laugh when he said how wonderful it was to be in New York City voluntarily without a subpoena. And then he said the dinner had to end soon because the room was rented out to migrants later on. You know, amazing. Just good, clean fun. But Trump was relaxed, clearly in a good space. He wasn't able to use a teleprompter, but he read very, very well from his notes. Early the next morning, he looked equally relaxed and at ease, appearing on the popular show Fox and Friends. Before the Al Smith dinner, by the way, he visited a barber shop in the Bronx and shared common experiences with that group. Finally, he took a bunch of questions on the tarmac as he flew out this morning to Detroit for more campaigning. Kamala Harris's people are saying he's not appearing before the media. Really? That's nuts. He's everywhere, answering questions and showing his high-content message for the future of America. Okay, he's talking issues. He's talking economy, border, crime, energy, inflation, Elon Musk and deregulation to shrink the government. He's talking tax cuts. He's talking tariffs to protect America from unfair trading practices by our competitors. Now, let's stop there for a moment. EU tariffs, Europe, are 50% higher than the United States. China tariffs are more than twice as high as the United States. Brazil tariffs are 3.5 times as high. India tariffs are over 5 times as high. And these are all big trading partners with the U.S. And that great tariff policeman in the sky, called the WTO, World Trade Organization, permits these countries to get away with it. So let me just say, the time is long past in American politics where the U.S. can just stand by and do nothing while our foreign competitors and adversaries rip us off. A recent Bloomberg poll shows swing state voters support Trump's tariffs by a 24-point majority. And let me say, actually, as a tough tariff negotiator like Trump will actually lead to freer and fairer trade. That's reciprocity. In other words, you reduce your tariffs, we'll reduce ours. Even though liberal economists don't understand this yet, so what? Not only this, companies and investors all over the world will come here to avoid the tariffs and to take advantage of Mr. Trump's big tax cuts and his deregulation and his cheaper energy and his stable king dollar. Trump's trade strategy is not only to win the global war for business, but also to start up new job-creating factories. So let me repeat. Reciprocity is the new free trade. Trump said it in Chicago, and he'll keep on saying it. Now, he didn't talk about tariffs at the Al Smith dinner last night, but he did talk about God's providence and divine mercy that has kept him alive. And that's why he won the night and the day after, looking and acting very much like a winner. And that's my riff.